Brian's from Brian's Art for Animals here. Thanks for clicking on this video. I thought it'd be pretty cool to do a quick video about 10 things I hate about zookeeping. I've been a zookeeper for over 20 years, and there's lots of videos. I even made one about how to become a zookeeper, tons of videos about the cool thing about zookeeping, and there's lots of TV shows, Secrets of the Zoo and stuff like that, that give you an inside look what it is to be a zookeeper working at a zoo. Now, with any career choice, there's good and there's bad, so I figured it'd be fun to kind of pick 10 things that really people may or may not know, that aren't so great about being a zookeeper. But all in all, it's a great profession. I'm so glad I went this path for a career choice to pay the bills and stuff, and it's really been rewarding and all that. Like I said, I've been doing it for more than 20 years. I'm married to my wife. Yeah, you'd have to be married to your wife. That would be the wife. She's been doing it for over 20 years, so there's, and then I've talked to friends and stuff in the field. So this list is a good compilation of 10 things that people just kind of get frustrated about zookeeping about. So if you're interested about being a zookeeper, it may be good to see the side of it that isn't so good. Like any career, like I said, there's good and there's bad. Let's get on with the list. And like any list, and opinionated videos like this one, of course, these opinions are mine and not any of the facilities I worked at in the past, the present, or the future. And it's good for those of you that are interested in becoming a zookeeper, because a lot of people are. It's a job that's usually gets a lot of applicants. People always want to work with animals and stuff, or just people are interested. People have animals, or they go to the zoo, and they're just kind of interested in what zookeepers do. Here we go. Top 10 list. Here we go. 10 is pay. Now, I'm lucky that I work for one of the institutions, few institutions here in the United States that actually pay a livable wage, meaning that you don't really need a second job or a third job. The first zoo I worked at was very low paying, so a lot of keepers would share an apartment together, or hope that their spouse had a good job, their partner had a good job, or they, like themselves, had like 2 or 3 jobs. So the vast majority of zoos aren't paying really well at the zookeeper level, which is unfortunate because it's a hard job. Like I said, I'm in one of the few institutions I feel like we get proper pay so that we can actually live. Are you living large? We still have to have side hustles and stuff like that if we want to live large. So pay. Number 9 would be schedule. It's very hard. I've been doing this for a very long time, and yet my friends and family have still not grasped the concept that my weekend could be a Monday, Tuesday, could be a Wednesday, Thursday. So every Friday rolls around like, hey, we got the barbecue on Saturday? No, I gotta work. Oh, that's criminal. Well, you can come by Sunday. Gotta work. Who's making you work on Sunday? That's the way it is. Your weekends could be rotating. I worked at an institution that almost like all the time your weekend was rotating, or your weekends could be really flexible. Very rarely as a zookeeper your weekends will be Saturday and Sunday. So if you love your Saturdays and Sundays off, this might not be the field to get into, because you never know when your weekend is. And people at the grocery stores always wish you a happy weekend every Friday, and you just look at them and go, tomorrow's my Tuesday. Number 8. Might seem silly, but some people freak out. I've seen a lot of interns go, nope, this isn't the field for me. You get poop on you. Yes, you get poop on you. You just don't want it on you every day. That would be bad, but hey, sometimes it happens. And of course, depends on what level of animals you are working with, is the size of the poop. For the vast majority of my career in this field, I've always been working with very large animals. Polar bears, lions and tigers, snow leopards, things like that. So yeah, if you're working in an aviary, for instance, with a bunch of birds pooping on the ground, you may just be hosing and stuff like that, so it's probably in the air. Primate people will tell you that, oh, the poop. So yes, you will get poop on you. I've gotten poop on me tons of times. Usually you're like, well, it's animal poop, not human poop, so if you're squeamish around animal poop, still, yeah, it's probably not a good career for you. No matter what, your glove will rip, it'll be on your hand, or you're just cleaning something and it'll flick off onto your arm. You think you're all clean, you go to the lunchroom and your friend looks at you and goes, dude, you have poop on you. Oh, that's right. So it just happens. You get sprayed territorial spraying by lions. I've been hit on VIP tours. I'm talking to people about how awesome animals are and you should conserve them, and not paying attention, and there goes the spray. I've also had where you shift an animal from their inside area to their outside area and they go overhead and not paying attention and they've peed on me. So yeah, if you're squeamish about stuff like that, yeah, Zookeeper is not the field for you, because you're gonna get poop on you. Number 7, I put wear and tear on body. A lot of people may rank this a lot higher depending on how worn and torn you are. It is a blue collar job. It's a unique blue collar job that you have to use your brain a lot and your body a lot. I've had blue collar jobs where it's been way more wear and tear on me, like a UPS package sorter, a household mover, a corporate mover, but you can kind of turn your brain off a little bit. But this job, no, that brain has to stay on, and it is wear and tear. You are using pulley systems, lever, not everything is hydraulics. So just opening and closing doors can put a lot of problems on your joints and shoulders and elbows. A lot of old-time zookeepers have had lots of surgeries to repair things, as well as you're trying to help lift or keep stable an animal if it's like a procedure or something like that. I've been on the back of a manatee trying to hold it when they were tube feeding it for hospital reasons, and I've been trying to corral hoof stock into places. I got knocked down full force by a big red kangaroo. So yeah, you are gonna help lifting animals to go to the vet or hospital. So yeah, you're gonna put a wear and tear on your body. A lot of people don't do this as a career, or they don't last long as a career, and that's one of the reasons why they just don't like the wear and tear from moving. A lot of the ways to get into an animal's yard and habitat, you got to bend down and crawl, and there's like the fake cliffs you got to climb, and there's all kinds of workplaces are always trying to be safer, but still puts a hell of a lot of wear and tear on your body. Number 6 is kind of a broad answer for a lot of things. It's public misconception about our job. A lot of people think, oh, your job, you must just be feeding the cats all day or snuggling little cubs. No. The animal interaction part, the time that we spend one-on-one with an animal, is a very small aspect of our job. Cleaning up poop and cleaning up where they were or where they are going to be, and setting up enrichment toys for them, or preparing their food. It all depends on what kind of animals you're taking care of, but that can eat up the most of your day. So I think the public sees it as this non-stop fun fest of just playing with animals all day, and it is far from it. I think some of the more recent zoo shows on TV show you kind of a more realistic view of what's happening. Along with that kind of is the public misconception, a lot of just the animals, and unfortunately the zoo field doesn't do too much to help that. Like, we're telling people, exotic animals don't make good pets. Please don't try to own an exotic animal. But yet, you go to the zoo, some zoos, and they'll put exotic animals on your lap and encourage you to hold them and stuff. So it is a fine line. We're trying to send a message that you need to care and conserve these animals. But yeah, we're also saying, hey, don't own them as pets. So a lot of times, unfortunately, it's the zoo industry itself that's kind of confusing people. Like, well, what do you want us to do? Kind of a thing. So, and like I always tell people, don't support a place that, if you see them walking a tiger on a leash, or they will charge you to hold a tiger cub, don't do that. But then there's some really great places out there that I encourage you to support that'll walk a cheetah around. So people are like, wait a minute, what's the difference between a tiger and a cheetah? And so yeah, we do confuse the public, but hopefully with time you'll understand what we're trying to do. We're trying to get you to really be interested in these animals and want to conserve them in the wild. And another aspect of the whole public misconception is your friends and family. Everyone, because you work with animals, they just think you're like an expert veterinarian on everything. I have people show me pictures on their phone. Look, my cat just threw up. What could it be? I don't know your cat. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm an animal caretaker. So I may have opinions, sure, but yeah, I don't know. Or like my dog, has this horrible thing. What should I do? And I don't always know. And people, especially nowadays, will send me videos about everything. I've seen horrible videos with either people having security cameras or filming it themselves of bobcat killing a house cat, eagle killing a house cat, shark killing a human, tiger killing a human. All kind, horrific things out there where animals are eating each other kind of alive, and just I know it happens. I know it's part of our whole universe here, but I don't need to see it all the time. Just as I work with animals doesn't mean that I need to see every animal horrific video that you're going to find on the internet. But that's another part of the public part of our job. And a quick note about the public. See a zookeeper cleaning the yard area, don't yell at them. Don't ask them what animal they are. We hear that all the time. It's never funny because it's so old, you know. Oh, look, son, there's the bear. Or look, hey, that's a giraffe. We're not the animal. We know we're not the animal. The joke isn't funny. Don't yell across the exhibit at us. I've had people yell some crazy stuff, and it's just don't. For number 5, I have animal rights. Now, it becomes a part of your experience as a zookeeper because there's lots of opinions. There's lots of animal welfare groups to the extreme animal rights groups, and they all have opinions. Well, heck, zookeepers have opinions too. You put 20 zookeepers in a room, you're going to get 500 opinions about how to take care of certain animals, or if certain animals are harder to take care of than others, and should really zoos have these animals? Well, yeah, we can take care of these, but we can't take care of these. And so yeah, it's a very opinionated field for sure. And one thing about animal rights groups is I think they just think we just want to put an animal in a cage and then exploit it so that people can come and pay us for it. And it's not, a good zoo is so far removed from that. Like I do always say on this channel, in my opinion, there's more places that show off animals that are not so good than are good, and have animal rights kind of try to stop those places, yes, and have animal rights people kind of fuel the industry to change within itself. For sure. I think the zoo industry, unfortunately, is a very slow, internal changing industry, and sometimes you need a good kick in the butt from outside groups telling you what you need to improve on. However, a lot of times, those outside groups have no idea what they're talking about. So yeah, it is a pain when you read social media. Your friends will send you links about animal rights things, about how all zoos are evil and cruel, and animals are just locked up in a cage. It will eat at you at time. I'm more open. I'm always willing to have a conversation about why people may not like zoos, so I'm more that. But there are some zookeepers that have just shut off from it. They're so sick of it, and they are sick of explaining why a good zoo is a very important thing, especially in this day and age. Like for instance, with the animal rights, you'll say every animal needs to be free. Well, I guarantee you, some of those prey animals at the zoos are living a heck of a life that they would never have out there in the wild. And I always quote the wild because I think people's perception of what a wild animal is, living free, living the life, is very far removed from what it actually means to be a wild animal. It is a very hard life out there. Now, I'm not saying, of course, that all the animals need then us to take care of them. No, it's great. The main reason why I'm a zookeeper is to try to get people interested. Why I do this channel is to conserve the wild spaces out there. But let's not kid ourselves and pretend that the wild is this ultimate thing. So yeah, if you're this prey animal, you're probably happy in a zoo that you don't got to run from an animal that's trying to eat you. That would be nice to be able to relax for a while and enjoy your meal without always looking what's going to eat me. Number 4 is coworkers. Coworkers. Now, animal people, there's like people, you know, you become a school teacher or something, you like to be around people, social worker, there's people, and then there's animal people. Well, the zoo industry, full of people coming to your zoo is people, and full of other employees are people. So you do have to have a sense, in some way, to be a people person, to be a good zookeeper. Now, what you'll have is a lot of animal type people, so they're kind of awkwardly social kind of a thing, or they're just kind of really reserved they don't really know how to talk or deal with others. Not saying all, but there'll be enough in each little area that'll kind of make things interesting. So you be prepared for that. If you do want to become a zookeeper, you may just be this extroverted, hey, everything's great, and you may get into a work group of people that are like, just don't look at me, don't look at me. So yeah, it's a fun industry in that the coworkers can be all over the place and their personality, like any job, I'm sure. But yeah, it's interesting in a zoo field because you do get a lot of the animal types. And be prepared. I think currently the rates are 65% of zookeepers or animal care specialists or animal care technicians, whatever term they're using. 65% are women and 35% are men. So I was in one work group. There was 8 of us. I was the only guy. So I did have to hear a lot about who got voted off on The Bachelor and how awesome NSYNC are and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just leave it at that. What kind of goes into Coworkers goes into my number 3, which is management. A lot of complaints if you run any of these social media groups that are filled with animal caretakers and zookeepers, and a big common complaint of why people are just like, I'm done with this field, I'm leaving, I'm checked out, is management. Like I said, a lot of these people aren't people. So you may have a complaint about a coworker and hoping that they're going to address that complaint about the coworker. Well, they're usually not that greatly skilled in handling a person and problems and stuff. They got into the field because they love animals, but they moved up and now they're dealing with people, like it or not. So yeah, the whole manager thing isn't always filled with people that know how to really deal with people, either encouraging them or trying to light a fire under their rumps to get them kind of to be more efficient and good for the facility. You'll also find that our job, I can't name any other jobs out, but I'm sure it's not unique. Like a lot of these problems aren't unique to zookeeping, but in zookeeping, the frontline job to be hired as a zookeeper is why the majority, I think, people got into it. A lot of people want to stay on that front line. They don't want to be a manager of a work group or several work groups or half the zoo or the whole zoo. They just want to take care of animals, and they're like have this passion and stuff. So when they're hiring for that position to go be in charge of a work group or a few work groups or half the zoo or whole the zoo, you're not always getting the best zookeeper to move up. You're getting the person that applied for that job to be in charge of a bunch of zookeepers that want to move up. So like I said, it's probably not unique just to zookeeping, but just because that person may be in charge of a group doesn't mean like they're the cream of the crop, because the appealingness of being a zookeeper is working with animals. So a lot of people don't want to lose that. So you don't get everyone applying for these jobs to move up. Now, does that say anyone in charge people are bad? No, there's some great managers. I've worked for some wonderful supervisors that still have the passion for animals, but they kind of wanted to be more heard at the facility, so they wanted to move up and stuff like that. And you will see a change in people. It's kind of funny, like, when they're at the zookeeper level, they're like, man, I'm gonna fight for the animal welfare and I want this and this, and then they become a manager, then you'll see them kind of soften up a little bit. Well, why is that? Well, because now they have to worry about the managers above them and people worried about attendance and other things besides just that particular animal's welfare. So it becomes interesting seeing the change in people. Number 2, and this is why a lot of people leave the field, unfortunately, so it's high up on my top 10 list of things I hate about being a zookeeper, and that is no way to turn off the stress. There's a lot of reports now about compassion and fatigue. They see that in people in the healthcare field and all that. They're starting to actually acknowledge it in the animal care type field. You take care of an animal, you come home to your own pets, but you're still thinking about that animal at the zoo all the time. That animal may be sick or any reasons why you're concerned about it. It's hard to turn that off. The stress of the zoo, especially the animals that I've worked with through my career, the lions and the tigers and the bears, there's stress behind everything you do, in the fact that those animals aren't your little cuddly friends. So there's harm if you were to make a mistake and share the same space as these animals. Wouldn't end up good. So there's a lot of stress in that every lock I touch could be a potential bad thing if I screw it up. So there's not good ways to kind of relieve that stress, so to speak. Like, you're trying to always look for ways of like, how do I get home and just turn it off and relax? But if you've been doing this for a long time, you're always concerned about something. You're either concerned about the institution as a whole, you're concerned about, like I said, an animal could be sick or not feeling well, you're going to do an animal intro and introduce 2 animals. You don't want them to harm each other. So there's tons of work-related, compassionate kind of fatigue stress that builds on you over time, and it's hard to turn that off. Like I said, for me, it's locks. You always want to make sure you're being really safe and you're keeping the animals safe, so you're always checking your locks. Now I come home, I pull on my front door to make sure that's locked. When I shut my car door, I'm pulling on that lock. So I've broken a lot of things just by being over anxious about trying to make sure. Now, you don't want to be too over to like screw yourself up so you just can't maintain a level head and go through your job and you know, complete it. But yeah, it's a fine line that you're always kind of, and I think it's human to have a primal fear of an animal that could eat you. You know, so you're standing right there, it's in its an enclosure yard, and you're there, and it's still, you know you're safe and it's safe there, but there's still that, you still get that feeling of like, wow, I should run. Shouldn't I run? Should I run? But you can't run, you gotta take care of it. So there's all kinds of stress that can happen. And another thing about turning off the stress is that we're privy to reports all the time. We get scientific reports about environments and ecosystems and animal populations, and a lot of those reports aren't so positive. A lot of doom and gloom kind of in this field with animals becoming extinct, or their populations are shrinking, or their ecosystems aren't as healthy as they once were because of pollution or just human population encroaching on them. So a lot of the things that we kind of read up on aren't always cheerful and happy. So that will weigh on the stress kind of that you just can't ever seem to turn off. And number one, the top reason why I hate about being a zookeeper is saying goodbye. Now imagine you're a pet owner, if your cats, if your dogs, it comes time, they're older, or heaven forbid they get some kind of ailment where they need to be euthanized. It's a very sad time. Like you feel it in your gut. It's like losing, it's cliche to say, but it's true. You're losing like a family member, and these animals get really close to you. Well, that's the same as the animals that we take care of at the zoo. Zookeepers get very close to them. So not only do we have our pets at home, but we also have animals at the zoo, and when it comes their time, it gets very, very hard. You're there to say goodbye to it, and then you're kind of gotta like clean that slate off and then go work. Sometimes you want to take a day or two, but you just can't. You just have to keep doing your job, and you have to know in your head that you did all you can to provide that animal with the great care that it needs. But yeah, saying goodbye is all. And then sometimes you're just saying goodbye because it has to move to another zoo if it's part of like a breeding program or something like that. And it has to go to another zoo for a mate, or some animal has to come to you, and you're moving animals around. And it's just, yeah, even though you could probably go see, I've traveled all over the United States to go see animals that I want to take care of. Sometimes they're like, hey, nice to see you. Sometimes they're like, I don't remember you. Who are you? But it's kind of sad in a way that always to be able to have to say goodbye. And also the small percentage of that is people. It's a very, unfortunately, a very high turnover rate at zoos for zookeepers. So you are saying goodbye to friends and coworkers that you may have shared time with. Well, I hope this list kind of sums up, 10 things that you may have not thought of, like, oh, I want to be a zookeeper. It's all fun playing with animals, right? Well, there's 10 things that maybe you're going to consider about before. But like I said, overall, very glad I chose this field as a career. It's always rewarding and always fun. And as always, thanks for watching.